And we want to welcome you to the Life Connected podcast, all things about life in Celina, Texas. And today we're going to dive into our EDC, or the Economic Development Corporation. Some people know what the EDC is, some don't. And today we wanted everyone to have a chance to find out not only what the EDC is, but what the EDC does for people in Celina and for people potentially coming to Celina. And so the best way to do that is to begin today first with our Executive Director, Anthony Satarino. Anthony, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Man, we're excited you're here. The first thing I want people in Celina to know, and our friends, is just a little bit about you. Your background is fascinating. Tell us about your background and growing up and quickly, and then what you did professionally and how you got to Celina.
Sure, absolutely. So I have been in the North Texas area my entire life. I was born in Dallas. I was raised in Plano. When I went to school at Southern Methodist University for my bachelor's degree in business. Enjoyed that time there. When I was done, I think like a lot of other kids, didn't really want to find a job yet. So looked around for master's programs that could keep me in school. One of the things I've always been fascinated by is development and why buildings go where they go, why houses go where they go, why some cities are successful, why some aren't. And so on that path, I found a master's program at UTA, University of Texas at Arlington, and really honed in on regional planning, master planning, urban planning, those types of topics. And economic development is, of course, a big part of that. So after graduating from UTA, I went immediately started my career in McKinney in their planning and zoning group. And then about 7 years after that, moved on to Frisco. And then almost 4 years now I've been in Celina. So high growth, fast paced. I don't know anything different than that, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really enjoy being a part of growth.
Invested in Collin County. I mean,
Absolutely.
You know this county probably better than most, we should say. Tell me about your transition from the city of Frisco, so a booming city that went through growth like we're experiencing in Celina now. Tell me about what it was like finishing up there and transitioning to the city of Celina, and how that set you up for moving over then to the EDC.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my time in Frisco, it was, I'd say Frisco is probably about 15, 20 years ahead of where Celina is. And so that time in Frisco was really working on big mixed-use projects. A lot of that you were seeing coming out of the ground now were projects that I got to have a front seat at the table at, and really be a part of that, understand what goes into making those work, what doesn't work, lessons learned, right? And so all of that, I would say, prepared me really well for Celina, and landing in the city manager's office, in 2021. Really, I feel like all of that knowledge of growth, both from Frisco and McKinney, really helped me bring some of those programs, refine some of those things, and really start a lot of those things for Celina.
Yeah, and then somewhere in the midst of that development mind, loving to puzzle piece buildings and neighborhoods and all the things you mentioned earlier together, in the midst of all that, you got this opportunity to come over and lead our EDC, which naturally is positioned and postured to experience amazing opportunities in the coming decade or decades.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that inspired you to make that move out of City Hall and across the square to the EDC?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it was just there is literally no opportunity for like what we do in the U.S. that Celina presents, right? I mean, the fastest growing city in the nation, 10 miles of Preston Road, 10 miles of the tollway. It's just an opportunity that you literally can't pass up. And so for me, having worked, closely in the city manager's office for several years, I got to do a lot of the back end of some of those agreements and some of the economic development deals. And then, of course, couple that with Frisco, understanding, who the developers are, who the major players are, who the major landowners are, because there are a lot of same landowners here in Celina as there were in Frisco. And so all those puzzle pieces, I think, kind of fit together in a really unique way that made me suited for this role, but also just, understanding that, it's a credible opportunity that was in front of me.
I love it. As you moved into the EDC, you recognize it's obviously different than city business, although similar. Mm-hmm. Talk to me in just layperson's terms about the role of an economic development corporation And then explain that tightrope of how it's connected to the city, but it's not connected to the city. See if
Yes.
you could make sense out of it for us.
Yes, we try. It's not always the easiest, but essentially, what I like to think of what I and my group what we really do is we're the economic development arm of the city, and so we really work to bring businesses in. We really work to expand the tax base, and we really work to bring jobs and job centers into the city. So from that aspect, we are technically a separate corporation. We've got our own bylaws, we've got our own rules, we've got our own board. So my role reports directly into a 7-member board, but we have to work very, very closely with our city council. So our city council puts this board together. So they're responsible for the members of the board of directors, and then also just working with the city manager's office, working with other directors and other departments in the city is critical for our day to day, because at the end of it, most people don't really recognize a division, right? And that's the way we like it. We want to come in unified. We want to come in whole. And although technically separate budgets, technically separate organizations, one can't succeed without the other. And we're very mindful of that. And we've got a great working relationship with staff members and especially city manager's office in helping support our agreements.
There's got to be some misconceptions when people in Celina, who we're a community where everybody has opinions. And
Yeah.
what are misconceptions that you found that maybe they surprised you, maybe they didn't, that people have about the role or the function of an EDC in a community like ours?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest misconception is that we just write checks, right? And that any business coming here, we're just going to give a check to, and that's unfortunately I think a big misconception for across the board for economic development corporations. The reality is we do a ton of stuff behind the scenes before if an agreement is going to council or the board. We do a lot of work behind the scenes before that agreement ever gets there. The agreement is really the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole marketing arm, promotion arm, recruitment arm to the EDC, as well as facilitating, broker meetings and working with landowners. And so the idea of just writing a check is all that we do is, as I feel, is a pretty big misconception. But also just to know that everything we do, we like to be performative in nature. And so, in order to receive funds, whether that be city funds or economic development funds, there has to be a performance associated with it, whether that's a big economic development building or infrastructure, or whether that's jobs, sales tax. Any of those things are all required before we write you that check, so to speak.
You have a tough tightrope balancing act.
Yes.
You have to attract and honor big businesses in a community like ours that has a small town heart, although we're a booming place. And then you also have to attract and honor mom and pop small businesses.
Yes.
How do you work that tightrope, and how is it that you recruit larger companies while at the same time honoring those historic small mom and pops? Just kind of play with all that as we talk.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us has always been for the EDC working with local businesses. That's been really since the inception of the EDC. And there's a strong history with supporting local businesses, and we want to continue that. It's top of mind for City Council. It's top of mind for the EDC board. What I like to say to those groups, those decision makers, is that we can do it all. We just have to prioritize it. We have to fund it, and we have to be able to balance that. And that's really what it's going to come down to. It comes down to a balance. We're going to be 78 square miles. As I mentioned, 10 miles of Preston Road, 10 miles of the tollway. These groups are coming just by our geography. And some of them are going to be great for Celina. Some of them, we might not want to invest in, or we might say, yeah, sure, you can come here, but you're not going to get the red carpet rolled out for you. Right. But at the same time, I think, too, it really goes back to balancing what's right for Celina, understanding downtown, listening, right? Listening to our small businesses, listening to their needs, and making it a priority. And I think once you do that, and once you balance things out, you can have both.
Yeah, and you have specific things in place, key strategies that you've implemented or that you've carried on from
Hmm.
people before you to specifically support small and local businesses.
We do.
Anthony, tell our listeners just how does that work? Like, how? What are some things that you've done to show our small business, our local businesses, as I call them, our historic businesses? How? What are you doing to show that they matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So you hit on it before, specific to our downtown. We've have a long history of facade grants, what we call facade grants for new businesses going in, tax incentives. We've got what we call a tax increment refinance zone, which essentially is a fancy term for an ability to incentivize new businesses coming in. So there's a number of programs already in place. I would say, we're in the midst now of refining what that looks like a little bit and expanding upon it. And so one of the big things that I wanted to achieve when first taking over this role is have a dedicated staff member that's all completely dedicating their time to small and local businesses. And but essentially that role was created for small businesses and to be the attraction arm for small businesses, that retention and expansion piece. And with that, you'll start to see in the next few months a lot of rollout of what we're referring to right now as the local business support program. But it'll be a comprehensive view of how we support our small businesses here.
Yeah, we're talking with Anthony Satarino, Executive Director of the Celina EDC, or the Celina Economic Development Corporation, if you're new to all of our acronyms. And we're talking about the exciting growth that's happening in Celina and how that impacts our businesses and how the EDC works to attract and develop businesses. I want to talk about the future for a minute. Celina has been called by many, including the Dallas Business Journal, the fastest growing city in the United States. That's a big title. What are your priorities? And I think here's where the city will benefit so much from your background working in departments in the cities of McKinney and Frisco and the city of Salina, and now in your role as executive director across the street at the EDC. This is where we benefit from your past. How do you ensure and promote sustainable, smart, wise growth as we continue to just see this explosive change?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that we have to be looking at, citywide, EDC included, is balancing land use. There's no shock here. Housing is by far and away the most predominant land use that we have. And if you rezone the entire city tomorrow to single family development, it would probably develop out that way. So we have to be able to balance that land use. We have to make sure we are preserving commercial corridors for the future. Commercial's always going to follow rooftops. Salina is getting to that point now where we've got a density of people that retail's starting to come. We need to make sure that we are balancing those land uses appropriately so that we don't have too much commercial that's going to sit vacant forever, but also we have the right amount of commercial that's going to support the city over time. I would also say to be very intentional with all the decision makings. It kind of goes back into that balance discussion, but a lot of intentionality needs to be taken when you're faced with some of these land use choices that are coming up or economic development incentive packages. To be intentional and to think ahead a little bit. What's going to be down the road for this project? Is this really the best project for Celina? And again, a lot of what we work on every single day never makes it to the board, never makes it to city council, and I think there's a reason for that. And the great thing about Celina is we're going to be in a position where we get to choose, right? And that's I think a different position than a lot of cities who just have to take everything that comes knocking on their door. So I would say, balancing land use and being very intentional with decision making.
You and I share a love for North Texas, and we're part of deep Dallas families. I think that's going to benefit you so much because you care about the history, the heart, the heritage of Dallas and of all of North Texas. You've spent
Sure.
so much of your life in Collin County.
For sure.
Now we are in this crux in Salina where we want to honor the past as we build the future.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about some things that you see that the EDC can promote and be a part of that help guard the heart of our hometown and yet welcome the growth and all of the business that comes with it. How do we do that?
Yeah, so so it's a difficult task, no doubt. At one time one frame of reference, we're saying we're going to be a small town and we're going to be over 300,000 people. So those things don't seem to go together
Right.
very well. I would say though, a lot of what we do is again looking for the right types of businesses, and what I mean by that, and I use Methodist as an example all the time. From the moment Methodist hospital systems announced that they were going to build in Salina, they became part of the fabric of the community. They sponsor things, they volunteer. Cody Hunter is the president of Methodist, is on the EDC board, and so they instantly became part of that fabric. And I think that's the best example that I have of how you can kind of keep that same small town feel, but expand, right, and bring new businesses in and bring in different types of businesses, and still accomplish diversifying our tax base, but still keep that small town charm, that small town feel.
Yeah, that's it. It is definitely the tug of war. I'm sure that you go to bed with every night and
Absolutely.
wake up with every morning. As you look ahead at Salina and all that's happening, you drive up 289, for instance, and Costco's popping out of the ground, and some retail establishments in front of Costco are coming up, and you look across the road, and Lowe's is coming, and more restaurants, and you drive further, and we've just celebrated the grand opening of, or the ribbon cutting rather, for Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Ready or not, here it comes.
That's right.
So
That's
tell
right.
me, as you look to the next 5 or 10 years, what are your long-term goals as you lead the EDC, Anthony? What do you see as your goals in the distant future?
Yeah, absolutely. So the great thing is those goals are starting to become clear. We last month, or excuse me, in February rather, to the Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors and to City Council, we took a strategic framework that outlines what our goals are for at least the next 3 years. And so we're starting to put those pieces together of what those goals are. I think when you're looking for that kind of longer term, the great thing is that's going to be a board and council visioning process. I think from what we see every day, it's just a lot of opportunity, and it's kind of unlimited potential of what we can become. It's a blank slate today, and so I think we've got really great decision makers who very much want to honor the past, very much want to honor small business and local business. I think we've got that set, and we've got that in motion. And we're also obviously going to continue those efforts. And then we're going to look to how to plan the rest of the city, and how to plan for that for future generations. And again, you mentioned Preston Road. I think Preston Road as a corridor has been hopefully will be a big success. It's definitely been a success in landing some big box retail that don't come to cities of our size. And that's a dedication of the EDC to get to the point we are now, and the work of decision makers and city council to understand that we have to have some of those big boxes to balance out our tax base. And the thing is too, right now for us, we have you know as much as we want to shop downtown every single day, we still have needs of everyday needs of going to a big box store. That's just the reality. And for us, we want you to shop in Celina. We want you to spend your tax dollars in Celina rather than taking it outside. And it has a huge effect on city budgeting, has a huge effect on economic development budgeting, and allows those dollars to go even further for like a local business support program. So, I think on the horizon, there's a lot of really great things that are going to be coming our way in the next few years.
We're with Anthony Satarino, the executive director of Celina EDC. Anthony, if people are listening to this, riding around their car or sitting by a pool perhaps in the middle of the summer, and they get inspired, they get fired up, they didn't know that EDC did what you're explaining, and they say, man, I want to be involved. I want to help. I want to be a part of these initiatives. How does Joe Blow, Celina resident, or Jane Blow, Celina resident, how do they get involved in what you're doing?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, shop local, right? Keep your tax dollars in Salina. That has a more of an impact than you will ever know.
And that includes Amazon.
That does include Amazon, yes. So that's a great point. The way the tax structure works for the state of Texas, we collect Amazon sales tax. So so whenever you can, believe it or not, shopping online benefits the city.
My wife says you're welcome.
That's right. That's exactly right. We appreciate her. Yeah. I would also say to that effect too. If you're an entrepreneur, if you want to start a business, reach out to us. There's plenty of opportunities that we have. There's plenty of programs that we run. We're always looking to expand what the offerings that Celina has. And so if you're one of those out there who has a business or thinking about starting a business, wants to start a business, or has a great business idea, come reach out to us. Let us know. We'd love to chat with you.
And you office in one of the coolest buildings in
Absolutely.
all of Celina.
Yes,
Tell
we
us in
do.
30 seconds about that, because I want people to stop by and see that.
Yes, please do. So we are blessed to be right on the square, right in the heart of all the magic. We've got a great original bank building to Celina. We've got the original vault, which is
so
a
cool.
really great space. It's been completely renovated, so it's a great office for us. And we are just excited and pumped to be right on the square. You can't beat the location.
It's so fabulous. And last question I have for you is, and I want this to be a fun question, not a pressure question. What else? What did I not ask? What would you love for, as you wrestle this beast of the EDC every day and you love doing it? What do you wish that Celina residents knew that I failed to ask you, or that you didn't have a chance to comment on, that's popped in your head?
Mm-hmm.
What do you want them to know about our EDC?
Yeah, I would say a confidence thing, right? I think there's not always first of all, the understanding of what we do, but second of all, do staff members, do decision makers, do they truly get it? And yes, we get it. And so to believe in that, to have confidence in that, our staff works tirelessly every single day. We've got the most passionate staff of any economic development group in the nation. I fully believe that, because you have to have that passion and that drive to work in this kind of environment, because it's extraordinarily fast paced. And I think that goes back to our EDC board. We've got so many qualified individuals on there, from finance to developing, to developers to consultant engineers. So you've got this wide array of a group who every day is looking out for the best interest of the city. And so to know that, I know people get caught up in infrastructure and traffic and roads and all those things. And those are all challenges that we're going to have for a foreseeable future, no doubt. But to know that in the long run, Celina is going to continue to be a really, really great place to be.
It is the best, and you are as well. Anthony Satarino, Executive Director of the Celina EDC. Thank you for joining us for the Life Connected podcast. We look forward to having you back. And the next time you come, I'm going to ask for some inside baseball. I want to know the secrets.
All right.
I want to know when HEB's coming. I want to know when we're getting more gas stations. I want to hear it all, so come prepared. And until then, we appreciate having you. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, bro.
Appreciate it.